Thank you, everyone. And if you hadn't guessed, there was a special appearance by Remy Paul there as well. Good morning and welcome to the official launch of the WA Liberal Party's 2025 election campaign. Yes. It's so good to see you all here today, and I want to thank you on behalf of the parliamentary team and our outstanding candidates for the great support we're receiving from you all as we enter the final stretch to the campaign. Don't our candidates look great? Don't they sound great as well? And I want to thank each and every one of you for your commitment, your dedication and hard work to the Liberal Party, ladies and gentlemen. And please thank them again in the usual way. By now, you've already seen the Liberal Party's advertisements featuring Premier Roger Cook claiming that WA has the best economy in the nation. And of course, he is right. But it's through no doing of his own. Labor in 2 terms of government have received $114 billion through GST and royalties, compared to $57 billion under the previous Barnett government. Now, everyone in this room knows and understands the question is not just about who receives the most money. It comes and goes in this case with the iron ore price and a GST fix, which was delivered by former coalition federal government. And it has absolutely nothing, to do with this government of the day. It is an entirely empty boast. What matters is how a government manages money and at their disposal for the benefit of the people of Western Australia. And on every metric, what we have seen under the Cook Labor government is that they have failed miserably in this regard over the last 8 years. Food, utilities, health services are the biggest contributors to the cost of living crisis that families face every day. Under Roger Cook, what we have seen is the highest rate of spending outside of COVID in 15 years. We have the highest rate of inflation here in Western Australia, where real wages are at 2011 levels, meaning when you go to the supermarket or whether you're paying for your petrol or your bills, it is costing even more. We will ease the cost of living pressures by scrapping Labor's electricity tax. We will stop wasteful spending and lower fees and charges for families. We will respect taxpayers' money and not invest on shiny projects that Western Australians don't need now. The Labor campaign bangs on about their experience, but the experience for Western Australians is that they are now worse off after 8 years of Labor mismanagement, and I don't think they want to see that experience continue. Can anyone tell me what WA's fortune on iron ore and GST revenues has done for our health system? Well, between 2017 and 2024, Labor invested just $3 billion in health infrastructure, a little more than half of what the former Barnett government invested at $5.7 billion. And doesn't it show? We have record ambulance ramping. We have dangerous staff shortages and plummeting morale. More than 30,000 people are waiting for planned surgery, and 10,000 children are waiting up to a year to see a paediatrician. Our health system is on its knees, and the Premier, with all the experience and the resources to do something about it, says the Productivity Commission, the AMA, nurses, parent groups, they're all wrong. Fixing the health system will be a major priority of my government. We will hold a Royal Commission to get to the bottom of what has happened and also act on its recommendations. We will not be gagging health workers. We will invest in our frontline medical workforce, incentivise our nurses to ensure that they are the best in the nation and they have the most attractive set of conditions. We've already announced our incentive plan around that, and for doctors as well. That is the least that they deserve. And as well as hospital infrastructure, we will cut hospital wait times and ambulance ramping and ensure that people get the care that they need when they need it. We will begin the rebuild of our state's major trauma centre and city hospital, Royal Perth Hospital, as part of our long-term vision for this state. We know that the best location for a new women's and babies' hospital is QE2. These two hospitals will set Western Australia up as a leader in healthcare for the next 100 years. One thing we haven't seen on this campaign, and aren't likely to see, is the debt monster. The debt monster that bounced around in 2017. One reason is because the person inside that furry costume is now a Labor candidate who probably doesn't want to talk about the fact that debt is now higher than it was back then. So much for good financial management. Amazingly, there's very little to show for this extra debt and this extra revenue, except about 30,000 more public servants, higher household fees and charges, and massive blowouts on the very few infrastructure projects that this government have attempted. Which, of course, brings me to Metronet. Originally costed by Labor at around $3 billion, that's the figure they took to the 2017 election, and now projected to cost you and I, taxpayers, over $13 billion. A pet project. And now we hear of boasts about hundreds of millions of dollars on a special NRL team, a racetrack by the Swan. It is as if we have a government that's not listening. But the Liberal Party are listening. It is also astonishing that with complete domination of both houses of state parliament and record revenues, that we have less or fewer public housing or social housing than what this government inherited in 2017. A seemingly impossible outcome for the wealthiest state in the nation. Labor has been disastrous when it has come to public, private and government housing sectors in Western Australia. And while our social housing stock is dwindling, what we are seeing is thousands of once financially secure families crash into mortgage stress. More than 30,000 people are now on the wait list for up to 4 years for social housing, and a record number of Western Australians are homeless. And this includes the working poor. We will unlock land, we will streamline approvals, we will cut stamp duty for first home buyers and seniors that want to downsize, and we will add 100,000 additional homes through our HeadWorks program, $600 million HeadWorks program as well. The Cook Labor government have also failed in what should be a key priority of community safety. The reality is Western Australians are feeling less safe in their homes and in their communities. Recent crime statistics show family assaults, drug offences, threatening behaviour and breaches of violence restraining orders are all going up and up. We will put the equivalent of 800 additional frontline officers on the beat. You will see them in our schools, on our streets, on our roads and across the community. We will toughen bail laws, we will toughen parole laws and ensure repeat offenders face real consequences. People are sick to death of a light touch court system. There is a reason that your energy bills have gone through the roof under Labor. Labor have embarked on a renewable energy crusade which is ignoring the interests of households and industry as well. And of course, what we've seen is a month ago, 12,000 WA households that dropped off the grid in the middle of a heatwave. Cook blamed extreme weather, but then as a throwaway line, said blackouts would be part and parcel of the state's transition to green energy. He basically said, Western Australians, get used to it. Only the WA Liberal Party is committed to a responsible and achievable energy transition that's not skewed by ideology, union interests, and an alliance with the Greens. My government will continue to build 4,400 megawatts of battery storage and 810 megawatts of wind power, but we will also build 300 megawatts of new gas generation capacity. We will not shut down coal until it is absolutely necessary, because we believe baseload power is essential for Western Australians and their assurance that we can keep the lights on and air conditioners running, even during a heat wave. We will unlock approximately $318 billion worth of business investment, which the Chamber of Commerce and Industry says is being held back by green tape, by streamlining the approvals process and amending the Environmental Protection Act. We will enable parallel approvals, expand the opportunities for deemed approvals to reduce unnecessary delays and unnecessary appeals as well, and clearly define who can appeal. We will stop funding the Environmental Defender's Office in our first 100 days. Taxpayers' money should not be spent on funding activists. It's ludicrous. We will also, on day one, lift the government's ban, Labor's ban on uranium mining. This represents about 9,000 Western Australian jobs and over $1 billion in export revenue to the state. And in our first 100 days as well, we will draft legislation to restore regional representation in the Legislative Council. The mining and pastoral, agricultural and southwest regions are the backbone of the Western Australian economy. This is where much of the state's wealth is generated. These regions have been unequivocally disenfranchised by Labor, and it will be the Liberal Party that will restore regional representation. Labor don't care about regional WA. 20% of the state's population have lost representation because of Labor's grab for power. We will fix this and not add to the city-country divide at a time when regional Western Australia really needs our support. We understand that when our regions are healthy, our whole state prospers. We will also protect small businesses from this red tape gone mad Cook Labor government. Fishing families will be better off under a government that I lead. We will provide them with greater certainties and protections. Fishing licences are currently have to be renewed every 12 months. We will change this to what was always understood to be more certainty with a piece of legislation which had bipartisan support back in 2016. We will change this to a 5+5 year fishing licence, in line with normal commercial arrangements, so that our fishers can go back to the banks knowing that they have the security that they need and we will also establish an electronic register of unit entitlements. This is so that they can borrow more money, have more security in their investment and employ more people. It's common sense. Western Australian businesses and small businesses will also save up to $32,000 through our payroll tax cuts. We know that businesses, more than ever before, are struggling with Labor's cost of living crisis. We will also allow metropolitan shops to trade from 9 a.m. on Sundays, an extra 2 hours on the current 11 a.m. start. This will give Western Australians more choice to shop when they like. It's common sense. As our Deputy Leader has pointed to, and as many of you would be aware, we have a situation that's been in the news regarding a landowner well known as Tony Maddox. He made the news for all the wrong reasons. This is a farmer who was undertaking basic repairs on his driveway. But through an awareness not of his own, he has had to fork out over $100,000 in legal costs, as well as a $2,000 fine for this ordinary work that he was undertaking on his own property. In a government that I lead, we will commit to a 6-month review of the current Aboriginal Cultural Heritage Act. We will engage with farmers, with landowners, with Aboriginal people and the community as a whole with the intention of amending this Act. We will ensure that the regulations create more certainty and precise definitions on a range of concepts and terms, as well as sensible caps on fees that offer genuine protection to proponents. We will provide common sense solutions to common sense problems. This issue is about private property rights. Farmers and landowners should be able to undertake minor works on their properties without suffering the indignity of prosecution. We will also be taking a common sense approach when it comes to the issues in relation to sex change treatments that are happening right now in our health system. Within 100 days of gaining office, we will commence a comprehensive review to assess the impact of sex change treatments on children and teenagers. This is on the back of worldwide evidence pointing to long-term harm associated with the practices that are happening here in Western Australia. We will ban puberty blockers, cross-sex hormone treatments and surgical interventions for new parents, new patients under 16 undergoing gender transition following concerns about long-term harm. We will not continue to roll the dice with our kids' health. And we will immediately restore common sense by introducing legislation to repeal Labor's reckless changes to birth certificates, which ensures that sex cannot be arbitrarily altered, particularly for children. Fellow Liberals, Western Australia is my home. It is a place of opportunity. And I want to see families thrive. I want to see businesses succeed and communities feel safe. And I know we can do so much better. Sadly, Western Australia has become less affordable. Our hospitals are in crisis, and rising crime is meaning that communities increasingly are feeling unsafe on the streets and in their own homes. Labor is failing to deliver on the basics during the largest boom our state has ever seen. And a government that I lead will focus on fixing these issues as a priority. A government that I lead will create the conditions for stronger economic growth by also cutting red tape, supporting small businesses, and ensuring that Western Australia remains a place for investment and opportunity. And I won't be doing this alone. You've already been out in the community and seen our outstanding champions across this state who are representing the Liberal Party. As already has been argued today, they come with real work experience. They're not political hacks or union hacks. They come from real jobs and are championing the issues that are impacting this state as well. Only a Liberal government will build a better future with the right priorities for Western Australians, and we have real solutions. Together, let's deliver the change we need for our children and for our grandchildren. Thanks again for your support.